everybody, and welcome back to the New Agenda. I am so excited to be back from a wonderful time with my family. I don't know about y'all, but I just wrapped up Thanksgiving with my family in Nebraska. So I actually flew in this morning. It's been a whole day, and I'm really excited to be back. I also have to say that I'm incredibly grateful for the incredible family that I have. I know that the holidays can be kind of, frustrating sometimes for people. And not everyone has the greatest experience, but I just want to take a minute and say thank you to my incredible family for being so supporting and accepting of me and of just people in general. And I had a great time, and I hope you guys did too. I have a great lineup for you today. I'm actually bringing out a really good friend of mine that I just got to work on a project with, and I'm just super excited. So I'm actually going to go ahead and bring him out right now.
We know, Candace.
What are you doing here?
I'm here to hijack your show.
But, Ophelia, I'm not even out of town.
Well, sorry, honey, but there's a new queen in town.
Excuse me? Oh, honey.
You can sit.
Oh, honey.
You can have a seat, and we'll take the show from here.
I already have a guest.
Oh, great. We already know. We already got him all prepared. So, welcoming Michael Perez.
Oh,
to
my
the
God.
show.
This girl needs
Welcome.
Are you part of this, too? Are you?
Well, yeah, no, really.
Hi, I'm glad to see you anyway.
Good to see you, too.
You can put these pillows over there. Obviously,
Sure.
Ophelia doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know what to do with the pillows.
Yeah. Oh. It's okay. Nobody wants
Anyway.
these pillows anyways. So, welcome to the show. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Michael.
Well, I am a filmmaker, director, editor, producer. I've been making films for a very, very long time, about 21 years now.
Ooh, I'm almost 21.
And I started off as a broadcast journalist in the Navy, and that's where I learned about filmmaking and just being in front of a camera in general. But I used to act in high school in drama, but I found I enjoyed being behind the camera a lot more. So that's when I just started my career making films, and I've made dozens of films over 20 years, just finished my second feature film, and it's been quite a journey.
This actually works out really well that you happen to be here, Ophelia. I know you're talking about Coyote Cage, right?
Yes, Coyote Cage, which we just finished wrapping. Coyote Cage was this amazing project that my writing partner, who you know, Devin O'Leary.
Devin.
Yeah, Devin's amazing. Him and I have been working on this project for 3 years, and we had to put it on hold because of the pandemic. But it's an amazing film about migrants crossing into the U.S. And being kidnapped by the cartel. It's a very based on true events, because there are actual migrants that do get kidnapped on the border, and they get tortured. Their families get extorted for money, and it's a crazy true based on true events. And Devin and I came up with a great story, and Devin is an amazing script writer.
Right, absolutely.
And after the pandemic, we were able to do it again, and we just finished wrapping just 2 weeks ago with the help of you and your wonderful crew.
And speaking of wonderful crew, we also have another fabulous guest, our intern, Miss Queen Allegra.
What are we doing?
Welcome.
Okay. Hi, Allegra. Does your mom know you're here? You guys plotted the whole thing. Wow. Okay.
We did. Just for you, Candace.
Okay.
A welcome back surprise.
Oh, welcome back. Man, I got on an airplane at 3 o'clock this morning, and it's about 7 o'clock at night right now. So, yeah. All right. I'm here for it. I appreciate it, ladies. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think this is a great opportunity. I do want to get into Coyote Cage, but what you guys may not know, you heard Michael talk about it a little bit. He has an incredible background in working in film. And so before we get into talking about Coyote Cage, which you guys obviously had the pleasure of working on, I definitely want to hear a little bit about some of your other projects. And I think you have some things for us as well.
Yeah. I've been, like I said, I've been making films for 21 years. I made my first feature film back in 2013, 2014, and it was released on Amazon, Tubi, Roku, Google Play, and YouTube by the name of Big Mistake, which I made with my writing partner, Devin.
Okay.
Because he's an amazing writer, and I just love working with him. But yeah, we actually have a trailer if you want to roll it.
Oh my God. Can we please? Yes.
All right.
I'm so excited. Yay.
Roll trailer.
People like stories that make them feel good. You know, romance and happy endings. It's not mine.
If you want to find my daughter, all you have to do is follow the booze and the party scene.
Hey, you're not one of the bouncers.
Yeah, I don't think this is such a good idea.
Don't worry about it.
I'm kind of tied up right now. What is it?
I'm in trouble. You never cared about me. All I did was give me this dirty money.
Somebody tells me I gotta rescue the princess. I'm gonna rescue the hell out of this princess.
That is amazing, and that's available now on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, you can watch it now. You can rent it, buy it, or watch for free with ads. Many different places on the internets to find it, but I'm really proud of that one. We did it for a very, very low budget, and it was kind of an experiment to get me started into feature filmmaking.
Okay, what is considered a low budget?
That one we shot for $10,000.
Okay, so that's
so very low.
Wait, so where do you get your money from, like to fund all these projects?
We have just investors, people who want to invest in film. It's kind of a crazy process. It's actually one of the hardest processes of pre-production is finding people to fund your film. Partially you end up funding your own film, or you get other people to fund it. With the case of Big Mistake, I had worked with the lead actress on a short film that I made, when I moved back to Albuquerque in about 2009, 2010. And she loved working with me, and her dad was pretty impressed with the short film that we put together for such a low budget. And they asked me to help them edit a project, and I said, I'll edit one of your films if you do a feature film with me. And she was like, oh, absolutely, let's do it. And so we made that film, and it was quite a process. It was a lot of work. We shot it 16 days straight with a crew of 6 people.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Which was insane. But I'm very proud of it. Like, you know, it was done on a very, very low budget, but we accomplished it, we finished it, and after we premiered it, it took a few years and we ended up getting distribution, which now it's distributed all over the internet because of it. It's available nationally. And it's been a great journey, and I loved doing it, and I learned so much more from filmmaking.
That is so inspirational. Wow.
Thank you. Well,
I wish I could be one of the actresses in your fantastic movies.
well, you have.
Oh my god.
You have been a great slate for
Thank
us.
you, thank you. Hopefully I can move up from Slater to actress.
later.
It would be an honor to be in one of your
Thank
iconic
you.
films. Oh my god.
Thank
Wow.
you.
I love that little mysterious moment. She was walking and she's just so sparkly and
Oh yeah, that's Sylvia, my main actress. She wanted to be a socialite.
yeah.
And she had a lot of fun with that role.
I bet.
Yeah.
So you guys had the opportunity to come out and work on Coyote Cage. So those of you who don't know out there in TV land, Katharsis Media, which is the production company that produces this television show, has an internship program in conjunction with the New Mexico Education Channel, which is Comcast Channel 96. And these are 2 of our interns. We currently have 7 because we're just running a small pilot program as it just got started. We'll open up for more in the spring. I think we're ready to take on up to 20 interns next semester, and then we'll be moving to 40 in the fall. So we'll have a ton of interns. But one of the things that they get to do, they do work here in the studio. They can run all of these kind of shows that you see here on Channel 27 and Channel 96. So they run a lot of those shows. And then they also get the opportunity to do field work, and that comes in 2 different ways. The first way is working on independent productions like Michael's production of Coyote Cage. And so I think we had 20 days of photography? 22,
Yeah, about 20, 21 days of
Yeah.
principal photography. And that one wasn't straight. That one was broken up like a normal schedule. But you also have weather delays and other things that occur. But yeah, we shot that one over 20 days with a much bigger crew, an amazingly talented cast. And then your amazing interns from Katharsis came on and really helped us out. And we loved working with them. They were all so talented and so much fun. As I said, Ophelia, I know came on to do Slate, helping with second AC, helping the camera department, and she she had the greatest lettering system ever, right?
Oh yeah, we had all the above. It was so glamorous. We just couldn't take the glam.
The glamorous, the fabulous,
Right.
the elegant.
She's like, scene 2, fabulous. Take 1.
Take glamorous.
Scene 2, glamorous. Take 3.
I loved it. It was so awesome. So I guess the other thing we want. So that was, oh my god, like thank you so much.
That's what
for
she got to do. And Allegra, why don't you talk about a little bit about what you got to do?
Thank you so much for that experience.
Oh, of course.
Really helped me to build my confidence more on set.
Yeah, you guys did great. And then I was going to say,
Yeah,
Allegra,
Allegra.
tell us what you did because you were fantastic too. You impressed me quite often on set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got to help out with some of the special effects makeup, along with the other amazing professional special effects artists. It was a lot of fun, and like Ophelia said, thank you so much for this experience. Like, it was just incredible.
Can you describe some of the wounds or some of the things, the effects that you got to do?
Yeah, well, for one, it was like a bruise on the neck. Like, somebody stomped on the neck or something. It's a bruise on the neck. And then also a machete wound.
A machete wound?
Yes.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh, the machete wound she did was awesome. There was a machete in the film, but she did this amazing, like, quick put together machete cut that I wanted to do, and just the resourcefulness of Allegra was incredible, and it looked so good. And the thing is when you're working on an indie film, you don't have as much days or time to work on a film, so you have to kind of work quickly and on a time limit with everybody. And so sometimes, like, hey, Allegra, I really want this effect this way. How much time do you think you can do it in? And you try to make the time for the effects artist to work on it. And I was like, can you do this in like under 30 minutes while we're filming this? And she goes, yeah, I got it. And I came out and I was like, wow, that looks awesome. So yeah, and she also did some bruisings.
Oh yeah.
And then some handcuff bruisings. It's quite a violent film towards the end of it. But it was an incredible process bringing them on. And the thing I enjoy, I think teaching people and mentoring people is incredibly important in this field.
Yeah.
Because I've had mentors my entire career, even later in my career. I've always had somebody help me become better and become more knowledgeable, and that's what I just loved, that we were able to bring them on, and we had people on our crew who were so gracious to provide their knowledge to these young artists.
Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of guidance and mentorship, I guess we want to ask you some questions, Candace. Surprise!
Yes. Okay. I just thought
you
you guys saw Michael and you were like, oh, we want to come talk about the project.
We do, but we also genuinely want to know more about Candace. Us interviewing you instead of us always being the ones who called out on the spot. So it's time to call you out on the spot.
Okay.
So spotlight on Candace. We have. So my question was, what inspired you to want to take on interns and help them to get where they want to get?
Sure. So I'm not really sure. Well, I guess what I will say is that my journey with mentorship began a very long time ago when I had the opportunity to have a mentor. So when I was in high school, I actually started my own fashion and skating magazine when I was 16 years old. We were in 26 states in 7 different countries. And I had that opportunity, first of all, because my dad, I'm gonna boast on my dad a little bit. He's always been the one to be like, Candace, go do anything you want, and anything that you want to put your heart and your soul into,
you can accomplish. And so I've always had that kind of encouragement. So I know not everybody has that. And so I always want to say, like, I know that built a foundation where I felt like I could. But I also was, and I don't know if this was his pushing or what, but I know that there was a lady across the street from my grandmother's house. I lived with my grandmother in high school. And she was a Mary Kay lady. And she was one of my friend's moms. And she saw that I was trying to put this business thing together. And so the first mentor I had was actually this woman. And she kind of took me under her wing and showed me how to write a business plan and kind of walked me through, like, what do you need to do? On the other hand, and so she helped me a lot with some of that stuff and writing my business plan. Once I had that in place, I had another mentor. His name is Rick Sanders. And I was in an organization called Kiwanis Club. And he was my first boss. And when I went to Kiwanis Club, because I was a Key Club, which is like the high school version of that, okay? And so I would go to these Kiwanis Club meetings. And he was one of the Kiwanis members. And he was a businessman. And he heard me talking about this magazine or whatever that I was doing, and approached me and my team, and he said, hey, I have office space, and a lot of it's just sitting. If you guys need an office space, like, I could provide that. And so him and his wife, Rita, really took me under their wing, and they showed me, like, all kinds of things about business, about dealing with customer service, about getting sponsorships. They helped me to find places to speak and to present. And so we had fashion shows all across the Midwest when I was in high school, and my dad would help me build these, like, backdrops and things. He's kind of a mechanical genius, and we would have skate competitions, and we did this in hotel ballrooms, and so that's kind of where it started really for me, was that idea of having a mentor and realizing how valuable that was for me, because I knew I couldn't get anywhere that I got without those mentors. And so I've always had a mentor. You guys out there in Neu Agenda world have met a couple of my mentors and good friends. Some of them were super close to my age too. Like Rick and Rita were, like, older than me by like 20, 30 years. But I also have a mentor who's still a mentor to me today. Her name is Meredith Edwards Hackworth, and she's married now. And she has been a mentor to me forever. And she actually started her own podcast show as well a little bit ago. And so her and I collaborate a lot on, what makes a good podcast. And she's way cooler than I am. She, like, interviews people that do really cool things. And, I mean, you guys all do really cool things. I don't mean that. I just mean that.
Yeah. She's better than
really
us,
cool.
we know.
She's better than me.
Sorry.
I don't know. That's what mentors are, right?
We're
So I
just
think that's where it
interns.
started. Also, because of that, so when I started my magazine, because I had been shown how powerful mentorship could be, I brought in a couple of middle school kids to help out and to intern at my magazine. So when I was 16, I actually had like 12-year-olds who were interning for me. So I always kind of make a joke like, oh, I've had personal assistants since I was 16 years old. I've always had a personal assistant. And that's true, but really what I've always had is interns. I've always had interns. And I have found a couple of things to be true about interns. Number one, a person who is incredibly passionate and really is interested in learning is so much easier to work with than somebody who sometimes has a lot of that experience. And so I find that that's an incredible thing. I also find that interns are kind of willing to, like, just give so much more than, like, what I would say an average person does to a project, because they're really there and they're trying to learn and they're trying to get their foot in the door and they're fresh and they have fresh ideas. And so I always think that having interns is actually, I get so much out of it. And yes, I get the opportunity to mentor. And then the other part, of course, is the idea that, like, I get to duplicate my way of doing things into the world. So I know that I have a couple of mini Candaces here. And I see it. I know that they see it out there too. And these girls have only been around for a little bit of time. But there was another girl, Alyssa, who was here earlier. And she's younger than y'all, but she's been around longer than y'all. And it was so funny because she made a comment. You don't know that because you don't know that she's been around for 6 years. Yep. But she made a comment, and Ophelia laughed, and she was like, oh, my God, you can tell she's one of us. And yeah, she's been around.
Yeah.
So I will say that I love the opportunity to build up and young people and to really provide opportunities. And that's kind of where it started. Like, it's just,
Wow,
that was a lot. Sorry, I talked too much. See, this is why people don't ask me questions.
I was like, what should we ask you? But you seem to already have the answer, so
You like got all of it in one.
trying to take back your show.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I do have a question. So
Yeah.
what made you want to do that type of magazine? Like what was the passion behind it?
Oh, okay. So, I mean, it was just my two passions. So I love fashion, obviously. You guys all know that. Like, I love fashion. I think that's pretty obvious. What people don't realize is I kind of feel like, Ophelia and I talk about this sometimes because Ophelia and I have a lot of similar traits. And I feel like there's kind of like this dichotomy in me. Like, I have two very opposing kind of sides. So there's like the girly sort of like, get dressed up, wear stilettos, walk down a runway, hopefully don't trip me. And then there's maybe what you don't know about me, and that's that like I love all the outdoorsy things. I love to camp, I love to do all that stuff. And what you probably didn't think when looking at me is that I am actually an aggressive rollerblader, an aggressive inline rollerblader. So what an aggressive inline rollerblader is, you knew that. I know Brianna's over there nodding. Yeah, she's seen. But where you have special skates that are designed for tricks, and you can jump up on the handrails and do grinds and flips and all that kind of stuff. And it's in the street. It's not like necessarily at a park or something like that. We actually used to make fun of the park rats. And so there was this kind of opposing sides that those were my two passions. I had this group of people, and actually one of those people I got to hang out with this past weekend, Miles. He was my best friend since the 7th grade, and he was the vice president of my magazine, and he's an incredible designer, and so I got to hang out with him this weekend. But so I had all of these people that were like my fashion sort of friends, and then I had all these people that were like, I would like go put on my like my bro clothes and like go hang out and be one of the dudes, and I would roller skate or rollerblade. Wow. And I was one of the only female rollerbladers in the country. There was a very small handful of us, and I went and competed at different competitions across the nation. As late, even the last time I competed was about in 20. See, I married in 2016, so in 2015 was the last time I competed.
Wow.
So it's been a while, and I broke my hand. I was actually going out the night before we left to go to New York City for the street competition, and Amanda went with me to this lovely competition. But we were practicing our routines, and so we were out and we were skating in this ditch, and I went up over the hip, where the ditch kind of comes up like this, and then you go back down on the other side, right? So I went up over the hip, and I did my trick, and I went back down, and I landed it. And then on the way down, I lost my footing, and I slipped, and I fell back on my hand right here, and I broke this part of my hand. But it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I had to be on an airplane, like at the airport at like 3 in the morning, or like 5 in the morning, right, whatever. And so, we were catching like the red eye, so yeah, it was like we had to be on a plane like in like a couple hours, and so I just wrapped it. And I got on the plane, and I got to the hotel, and I fell asleep, and the next morning I woke up, and my hand was like this big. It was so swollen. Oh. And I just wrapped it, and I skated on it anyways, and I ended up on the front of a Rollerblader magazine.
That is amazing. Wait, do you still have this magazine? Like,
I don't.
Do you have any clips of like you in this sort of getup? Like,
I do have some clips. I didn't put them in they don't have access to them right now. I'm sure they're not looking for them.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no, I actually had a couple of friends on my show a couple seasons ago, maybe in season 1, and we actually went out and went rollerblading and put together a little skate edit, and that was a lot of fun. And my son now skates, my 17-year-old, he skates, and he's a rollerblader, and he does all kinds of cool tricks, and he's way cooler than I am at this point. I'm just kind of...
I love that. Oh my God, you're so inspiring too. No wonder why we feel so empowered to be here all the time, because we're like... empowered by the one queen bee. So, there's a lot of other queen bees in this room, obviously. honestly. But our fellow Queen Bee, did you want to ask Candace anything?
Yes. So this might be a lot, but what's your favorite moment with us interns?
Oh my gosh.
So cute.
Oh, oh my god. Okay.
Cheers.
Love.
Goodness. Okay, that's really hard. First of all, it's hard because we're not always all together.
Yeah.
So that's rough. But I love and then the other part is that it's probably less like I think that you're looking for something really like, ooh, there was that one moment when this happened. And I will say, like, there have definitely been moments, like, I will say that my favorite moment, Allegra, with you was not last week, but the week before when you were really struggling. You guys don't know this, but Allegra has a makeup show. It's called Makeup with Allegra, and she does special effects makeup on it. You should check it out. It's on Comcast 96. Actually premieres on Tuesday. Yeah, on Tuesday at like 6 o'clock p.m. or something like that. I don't know. But either way, so Allegra was out and she'd filmed a couple of her episodes and she came in and she was just looking pretty down. And you told me that you weren't sure that you wanted to do your show anymore because you were really struggling with yourself on camera. And we had a really good moment and we talked about it, and I told you that of course if you didn't want to proceed you don't have to, but that I felt like it was just a lot of kind of negative self-talk, and that if it makes you happy that you should really think about whether or not it brings you joy, and if it does then you should do it, and if it doesn't then you shouldn't, right? And I was really excited when I got a text from you saying, hey, I'm ready to do my show. And I'm really proud of you. And I saw you come in here and doing, I don't know what you were doing today, something with flour and silicone and faces, obviously. And so I'm excited to see it. Don't tell us about it because we're going to see it on your show.
Okay.
But so that was one of my favorite moments with you.
Okay.
Ophelia and I have had a lot of moments like that. And I think that, Ophelia and I are very much alike. So we've had a lot of moments, and I think that my favorite moment for you, Ophelia, was also a couple of weeks ago, and it was actually, I walked into the studio, and everybody was really quiet, and everyone's kind of working on something, and Ophelia was she's on her laptop, and she's just very, like, doing something, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I was actually going to call her over to have her do, something else. And, I had a list of, like, what needed to get done today. And I was like, well, what are you working on, Ophelia? And she's like, oh, I'm working on my show idea. And I was like, oh. Because Ophelia has been working on a new show concept. And I won't give it all away, but kind of exploring some of the dichotomy that she has in herself as well. And trying to give some good advice in a comical way to the world. And so she's been working on that. And watching you really come out of your shell and come out of some of these moments where I think we spiral sometimes has been really, really cool. And just seeing you flounder a little bit and recognize that you're floundering, and then coming back and saying, you know what, this is hard, but I can do it. I can do hard things. And I've seen you do that over and over and over this semester, Ophelia, and I'm just really, really proud of both of you ladies. I think my other kind of favorite moments, like as a group, is just when I walk in and I see everybody diligently, kind of passionately working on whatever. So I come in and like Sam is working on editing some things, and I felt so bad because like she was editing an episode of Izzy and Ella in the kitchen that had already been edited, and I was like, oh girl, I'm sorry, you spent like 4 hours, but it's already done. But just coming in and seeing you guys. Allegra was working and prepping for her show, and Ophelia was working on her script, and Sam was working on some edits, and Kiara was working on something on the computer as well, and just seeing us kind of cohesively come together as a team to get a lot of things done, that's been really, really cool. And just, it's really cool for me, so.
Well, I guess back to you. Oh my God, we did not forget about you. Like, obviously,
I was like, why am I even here?
Well, sorry if I
I'm enjoying this. I am learning
flashed
about
anyone.
you. Figure rollerblade is pretty sweet.
I know. Oh, so what about you? Like, any hidden talents you have? Like, you know how to rollerblade?
No, I love outdoorsy stuff. Funny story, when I was young, I was a pro wrestler in El Paso.
Oh my gosh, okay. A pro wrestler. This is like
Well,
Nacho
amateur
Libre?
pro
It's
level.
like
Yeah, like
Nacho
Nacho
Libre. Oh my
Libre
God,
style.
Yes.
Yeah. I did wrestling when I was 18 for about a year until I joined the Navy.
Okay.
So I did wrestling, which is kind of a fun little fact about me. And I'm into board games. Like, I'm a board game guy. I
Oh
love
my
board games.
gosh. I love
You
board
know,
games.
you know I love board
do.
games. I have a huge wall of board games. So like, board games is my thing. And as far as talents, it's mostly to the filmmaking area. I just love film. Like,
Yeah.
we do movie nights constantly. I love film, good, bad, everything in between.
Yeah, so I guess speaking about the whole, like, sort of like coming out of your shell and out of your comfort zone, whenever you feel like you lack motivation or like you're starting to lose like sight of like where you want to be and you feel like you're not progressing at the speed that you want to progress at, what do you do to sort of stay on track and get there?
You know, it's really good. One thing is reaching out to people who care about you. Your mental health is so important. I don't think enough people take stock in their own mental health. So doing self-care is very important, and aligning yourself with really good, positive people, which I think is kind of something you've mentioned about, is taking toxicity out of your life and aligning yourself with really good people. So, you know, for me to build up is like, I remind myself of what I've accomplished. I have two amazing boys who I'm very proud of, and I see the things that they've done, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm like, well, you know, I've done a good job being a dad, and that's another area of my life that brings me joy.
Yeah.
So it's just reminding yourself of the things you have accomplished, and that you aren't perfect, and no one's perfect, and that whether you flounder, you can get back up to what you've done before. You've gotten past stuff before, you can get past it again, and you'll keep succeeding if you never give up.
It's like you're just constantly reinventing yourself and you never just find some sort of common ground. You're just like constantly evolving.
I think that you're going to find that there are themes of the things that really, especially because right now you guys are very young, and I think that you will find that there are things that you continuously find yourself kind of coming back to and gravitating towards, and those are the things that like are really calling to you and that really are a part of you. And a part of your passion. Like, there are certain things, like even rollerblading. Like, I continue to rollerblade, right? Filmmaking. I've been a filmmaker since I was 16 years old. So, you know, that's the first time I sat behind an editing bay. And that's the first time I really picked up a camera. And it's been something that has constantly been a thread in my life. And then it was so weird when I was like, oh, I should make this my career. How weird. It was super weird. And then I did, and it kind of just went boom. I mean, we opened Katharsis in 2019. Most people don't realize that. And, you know, the people in this room that are working behind the scenes here opened this company with us. And most people don't realize how brand new Katharsis is and how quickly we've grown. But part of that was, too, because I think we all spent a lot of time in our lives, like, kind of cultivating these passions that we had, these kind of themes, and then it all just sort of clicks. So I will say, like, what I will say is, like, I don't know that there's ever a day that I wake up and I go, I figured it out who I want to be. Like, I mean, I don't. You know, or like I do, and then I have coffee and I was like, just kidding, I changed my mind. You know what I mean?
I'll get there.
But I will say that I have found constantly throughout my life that there are themes. And one thing that I will say that has helped me to really figure that out, because I go all over the place. Like, I literally do. I have changed jobs. I have changed careers. I changed my major like 8,000 times. I was a youth minister. I was a high school teacher. I taught English. I taught theater. I did all kinds of things. I quit my job. I started another job. All the time. Like, I was all over the place. And one thing that has helped me so much over the years is a practice that I started actually when I was a youth minister. And it was my way of just kind of jotting down and figuring out who I was and where I was going and what was working and what wasn't. And that is you know, I would journal about things, and I was very, very intentional about what I would journal about. And I actually am so glad you brought that up, because we actually have today's intentional moment that talks a lot about that. So let's cut to that, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's intentional moment. Today, we are adding on to the process that we've been going through. The last couple of weeks, I've challenged you guys to really think about the choices that you're making, the way that you spend your time, the people that you surround yourself with, being intentional about finding a mentor and mimicking them, being intentional about maybe separating a little bit from the people who maybe are bringing you down or who don't support you in your goals and don't help you to reach them, or who add destructive or toxic behavior to your life. I know those things are really, really hard, so I hope that you are trucking along and finding some encouragement along the way. Again, those mentors are going to be the best thing to really help you get to the next level. Today's intentional moment is all about reflective practice. Reflective practice is an art of pausing each day to really think back through what your day looked like, what went well, what could go better. It's what I call my plus delta. And so it's really where we're pausing and we're saying, okay, what's working and what needs work? And that way, each day we can grow a little bit, and it allows you to really become your greatest critic. I do mine in a journal. This is one of a lot. I have a whole collection of journals. I just started this one, actually, brand new journal. And I'm super excited to start off on a new chapter, literally, in my journaling. And so every day, at the end of the day, I just take a few minutes. I try to limit myself to 5 minutes. And you can ask yourself all kinds of questions, right? So there are a billion different ways to journal out there. There's a billion different ways to reflect on what you're doing as a professional and what you're doing in your areas of growth. I think that you should at least include what's going well, okay, what's working, and what needs improvement. And then I think it's also super important to note what is the most important task that you need to tackle the next day. So looking through, okay, what did we accomplish today? We've been talking a lot about that idea of the 6 most pivotal things, right? And so this is kind of looking forward to tomorrow. Okay, what is the most pivotal or the highest leverage point that I'm going to focus on tomorrow? So I think that's a really important thing to include. And then one other thing that I really love to include that just kind of adds a little bit of something, a little sparkle maybe, is a story. So something from the day that was memorable. And maybe there was a teachable story, something that happened that taught you a lesson or that provided an aha moment, or that really exemplified what you were looking for in a moment, or really exemplified an example of excellent work or something inspirational. And that way you can look back, not just that story, but when you actively participate in reflective practice, it gives you the opportunity to really look back, especially on those days when you're really hard on yourself and you feel like nothing's working and you're not getting anywhere. You can look back and you can see the trends of growth, and you can see where you're closer to your goals. Hopefully that's what's been happening. It also allows you to identify maybe problem behaviors that keep popping up that are hindering you from really being successful. And then it also allows you those moments to look back at the many ways that you were impacted by things that happened, or that you had the opportunity to impact somebody else with your own story. So reflective practice is an incredible intentional tool for you to really grow and succeed and be a young professional and grow in your self-care and your personal growth as well. And so I challenge you to take on some reflective practice. Grab a journal, grab a pen, take 5 minutes, reflect. What went well? What could be better? What story moments really caught your eye today? And of course, what's the highest leverage point to start with tomorrow? Join me and let's do it together. See you next week.
All right, so yeah, I love reflective practice. It feels heavy sometimes because it requires you to sit with your thoughts. You guys know, so what you don't know is when the interns come on, the first about 12 hours of their program is dedicated to what we call the Katharsis way. And so they learned about task listing and time blocking and a lot of the things that you guys have seen on the intentional moments. And they haven't gotten into reflective practice yet, so we're getting there. So you guys can actually expect that. But reflective practice is all about just really pausing to think through what went well, and what can go, what do I need to do better? And then, of course, looking at those high leverage moments, right? So that's something, Ophelia, that I think when you think about the idea of like spiraling or not really knowing who you are, if you were to journal every single day, you would begin to see the themes in your life, not only of the things that you constantly come back to, those things that constantly bring you joy, right? Where you're like, I really felt like I was in my element doing this today, right? Or I really didn't feel like I was in my element doing this today. This felt off, right? And so if you're journaling that every single day, you can a lot easier identify maybe where your passions really are and not just like in the moment, because there are so many different influencers, right? So if we can narrow it down, it also helps you to see, like I said, in the intentional moment, like those behaviors that we constantly do that detract from where we're going, where we constantly kind of find ourselves making the same mistakes over and over and over again, so we can remove those patterns of behavior and really get out of those habits that we find ourselves in. You know what I mean? And it's hard, and I know it's hard, but if you can be intentional about analyzing yourself and the choices that you're making and how that's impacting your goals, then you can better achieve those goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I guess like tying on to that, like how would you recommend like trying to pursue what I know makes me happy and like trying to pursue like I know where I want to be in life, but how do I sort of like balance that with also making like money off of it, you know? Because I feel like the field that I want to be in is so competitive and everybody's trying to get there that it's like, how do I make myself stand out and become successful at it and not get sidetracked on something else I don't even care about, you know?
Well, I think, and I'm sure that Michael has some thoughts on this as well. I think that the first thing is honing your craft. Really, really, really making sure that you are the best, because you want to be an actress.
Yeah.
So making sure that you are training, that you are working diligently towards that goal, that you are learning from the people around you. You have an incredible opportunity right now. You got to see some incredible, you know, and that's one of the reasons why Michael put you on Slate, was so that you could be right up there, close to the action, so you could literally watch the professionals doing what you want to do as a career, right? And so you have literally a front row seat to watching an incredible director working with his actors and watching these incredible professional actors doing their job. And so taking advantage of those opportunities, and then also diligently putting yourself in training, and then being very intentional about critiquing yourself as well, without self-deprecating or degrading or whatever it's the word.
Self-deprecating.
Yeah, without putting yourself down too much, right?
Right.
But you know, but reflecting and being intentional about, okay, what do I need to work on?
Does
that make sense?
Yeah, that's why I was so grateful to be in an environment that felt safe, and like whenever we were on set with you, it felt like we were able to sort of learn and grow and observe at like a pace where we could ask questions and get feedback and get like one-on-one sort of like personal experience, compared to if we were just thrown on this huge set, like we'd be in shock, we wouldn't know what to do and freeze up. And that's why it's like my advice, or not my advice, my question to you would be like, whenever you like see people like us trying to get somewhere in life, like how would you help to support us in achieving our goals?
Great question. Yeah, for us also, like making a film is hard as it is, and there's a lot of time that you have to put into it. But at the same time, there are moments where you can find and help people, because you want them to grow so that you have good people to work with. For me, one of the biggest things on my set is I like positive energy. I don't like people who bring negative energy to set. So you want to work with people that bring that positive energy, because it just makes everybody happy and excited to work together. Nothing's worse than having a set where people are down. So, you know, you want to teach people to have good energy, and you want to teach people so that they're more skilled and they can help you out. Like, film is a collaborative effort, like beyond anything. Like, there's no way you can make a film without people involved. And so you want to help and train and hone the skills of these people, because they'll help you and to make a better product. And that's, you know, that's kind of the life we live. And people did it for me, so I feel like we should do it for other people. We should help them on set. And it was so great having you guys. You guys had such great energy, which was why it was so easy to teach you guys and take the moments we had. There could be a lot of downtime on set between setups, because their various parts are moving at all time. So it doesn't take too much out of your day if you're not running and gunning to say like, hey, you know, Ophelia, when you slate, try it this way, or teaching you a new way to do something. That's easy to do, and it helps you, it helps us, it helps everybody. And I know a lot of my crew loved having you guys on set and teaching you, and they feel like they get to pass on some of their knowledge, and it's kind of just this rolling down of knowledge to other people, and we hope you do the same thing. I think that's our goal, is that we do it for you, you do it for somebody else, and it keeps going.
Yeah, well, thank you for being so patient with us and like allowing us to take full advantage of that, because I know it really helps us grow.
I know
as
you brought a
individuals.
couple of stills from
I
the
did.
show.
Did bring-
I did.
I know,
I have
I
a
know.
still of us. One of the final days of our shoot, which had, I believe, all of us in it. I think
Maybe.
I don't know if Ophelia was in this
yeah.
one.
I don't know.
I don't know if you have that still. You could show it, Mark. Yeah, there's us with the Coyote Cage team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We were up in Stanley, New Mexico. I don't think we had you there that day, Ophelia, but Allegra, I think you're there right
there's
there.
Tina,
There's Candace,
Nina,
Tina.
Amanda.
That's some of our actors. That's me next to our producers, Jerry Angelo and Aubrey, who you know. There's Amanda right there.
Yep.
And this was one of our final days out in Stanley, New Mexico, past Moriarty. We filmed almost 2.5 weeks out there, and that was quite the location. And it was cold and muggy. But yeah, it was an awesome experience, and like everybody was happy. We wanted good people on set. And then there's another still. So this is actually a screenshot from the movie. This is the only one I think I have available. This is kind of the look of the film. Our director of photography, Nicholas Karekis, a phenomenally talented man, good friend of mine. He shot the film, and this is just one of the scenes from coming up, because we just finished it and I just started editing it. We're hoping it'll come out next year, but we were so fortunate to work with a talented cast, a talented crew, and talented interns. Everybody attached to the project was just wonderful, and I'm excited to show you guys all what we came up with and have you guys there. And did you have a favorite moment on the set?
Yeah, it's a good question.
I mean, there's so many.
I know. I was only there the one day, but my favorite moment was definitely whenever I was like up close and the main actor, he played
Guido?
Guido?
Yeah, Michael.
And you guys kept saying do soft sticks, and right as I got up to him, I did the most loudest clap, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do it. I was like, okay, Ophelia, inside voices. And then he was like, oh no, it's fine. But I was freaking out because you kept saying soft stick, and then it finally clicked. I was like, oh, soft sticks by the actor. So that was my favorite moment, but he was so chill about it, but I was freaking out, and then so I redid it, and I was like, okay, soft stick. And I did it softer, and I was like, it was just such a funny moment for me because I'm always so loud, and for one moment I was so quiet. So I was like,
And all the people that do sticks for Michael is one of the best. That guy is amazingly talented and really cool dude.
he really is
He's
cool.
really, really cool
And
dude.
I thought that he was gonna be like, who is this girl? But no, he's like, oh, it's fine. I was like, thank you for understanding.
If you want to talk to somebody about acting, Michael is definitely one of the people to talk to. He has all of the elements to be a good actor you want to work with, and that's important. Like actors, you want to be approachable, easy to work with,
Okay,
Take direction.
take
well.
direction well,
Yes.
be incredibly grateful and professional. That's how you easily get hired for more jobs as an actor.
And that's so huge, is that it's not just about your ability to do your craft, whatever that is, whether it's acting or whether it's makeup or whether it's running the cameras or whatever area you find yourself in. That's just one piece of it. The other part is really being able to collaborate and work with a team, to show up on time, to show up consistently, to be prepared to do your work, to be professional, to bring that kind of energy that is helpful and not harmful. And when you're working in an environment that's so collaborative like film is, one little thing that one little piece of bad energy can really throw off a whole day. And so it's really important for us to really take care of ourselves so that we can be our best version of ourselves, and to give people grace, and just to kind of like walk in with the idea that we're all working on this thing together and we have to hold each other's hands to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that's super, super important, and I think that you guys did that really well, and I want to encourage you to continue that as we continue forward, because that is what's going to put you ahead of other people, honestly. Like, it's great if you're a great actor, but if you can't come to set when you're called, if you're not prepared, if you're not polite, if you're not professional, or if you have, bad energy, like, it's just, people don't want to work with you. And so,
Absolutely.
and you can always make a change too. Like, it's not like, oh my God, I did one thing and now I'm, blacklisted or something. But there is a pause. It's really hard when everything is riding on this small group of people and their ability to work well together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to rely on people because you can, and this is a small town with a lot of filmmakers who all know each other. So
true.
you want to try to put your best foot forward, and you're not going to always do that. Like miscommunication happens a lot in this industry. So you just try to do your best and try to serve people the best you can, be gracious to them, and that comes from all sides, even myself. Like, I want people to be happy to work with me again. So I try to treat people with respect on set, no matter what my position is. And I remember Allegra had great attitude on set, because I think I remember asking you to bring her back a couple times to help us with makeup. And so that's what you want. You want people to come and like, hey, bring that person back.
Yeah.
Like, I want to work with that person again. And I was fortunate enough to have an amazing crew for this film.
Yeah.
And I would pretty much bring every one of them back, like, to work again, because they just all had a really fun time working together. They were professional, they were funny, we had laughs, but when it came time to shoot the important scenes, or we had to have serious moments, because the film is very serious, we knew how to remain professional.
Right.
And I think that's a good balance, work-life balance, because film is stressful and it's long and it could be exhausting. So having a good family unit to work with on set is very vital. It's vital to me as a director. I want people to be on my set that want to be there and want to have a good time being there.
Yeah. So what's next for you?
Oh gosh, so we're finishing up Coyote Cage, hoping to distribute that hopefully next summer or film festivals first. Actually, we're very proud of the product. We think we want to go through the film festival circuit first, and then that film should be distributed after that. I have been asked to direct another feature film next year, and I've also been asked to help produce another feature film next year. So I gotta just basically weigh my options. I love directing; it's my favorite part, and I love editing. Those are two of my favorite parts.
Not my favorite.
Oh, I love editing.
But I do have it
It's
in my wheelhouse, but it's not
I love
my
editing.
favorite.
I love that.
Because directing, you're on set and you're dealing with everybody, and it's crazy, and you're a fast problem solver. Editing, you just relax and you have tea or a beer or whatever you want when you edit, and you just chill and you watch your edit, and you're like, oh, I'll fix that, and then you watch it back, and you're like, man, I really like the way that's coming out, and I'm shaping the story.
Yeah.
Lisa, I have a question.
Yeah.
What's your zodiac sign?
Oh my God.
I want to know.
I'm a Libra.
You're a Libra? Oh my God, you're an air sign like me.
Yeah.
Air sign, water. I love that.
So
such a
ladies have
dream.
a couple of minutes left.
Oh,
Do
you
guys have
wanted
any
to- you
other
had a question.
Yes, I do have a question for both of you.
Okay.
What advice would you give to some new filmmakers who are starting out with making some movies or films?
Getting started in film?
Yeah.
Do we go first?
Sure. I would say stay the course. It is not easy. And the hardest thing, honestly, is finishing your project and see it through to the end. And so I think that's get out there and make a movie. Like, that's the best thing you could do. Even if it's trash. Even if your camera is shaking all over the place and your sound guy had his keys attached to his hip while he was running around and it's chaos. I'm not talking about anything specific. But, even if that's what it is, right? Finish the project. Get it done. Then you get to look back and say, okay, how can my next one be even better?
Absolutely. Yeah, same. I just piggyback on that. Absolutely. That's the biggest thing is there's going to be roadblocks. There always is. Even on this film, I've been doing for 20 years, and even on this film, I had roadblocks to overcome. Do not take anything personally.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one. Don't take anything personally. and just try to solve it and get it done. And you will always get better. You just always will. I look at every one of my projects and I'm like, man, I improved here, I improved here, I improved here. What do I want to improve on in the next one? What do I want to get better on in the next one? And so always try to, the only person you're competing with when you're making films is yourself. Don't try to be anybody else. Don't try to be another filmmaker. Don't try to be another actor. Just be yourself, and the only person you want to beat is yourself, and just be a better version of yourself each and every time. And the best way to do that is to just make and do things, and align yourself with people who do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That makes so much sense because I
Yeah.
feel like we're always like comparing ourselves to people that are where we're at
definitely.
instead of just staying authentic in our power. So thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
So I
Both of you.
think that's about all the time we have for today.
Ah.
Thanks for hijacking my show, Ophelia.
And thanks for having me.
Yeah, and
Thank
it's
you.
time for
Thank you.
A New Agenda!